All right. Good morning. Welcome back to the Harmonic Trading Club on HTC FX morning. It's going to be here real quick to just talk about something. So last week was very interesting. We pretty much were all set to go, and a lot of things are still in good shape, even with the rocking and rolling and shaking and rattling with the news out of the Supreme Court pertaining to the tariffs. Really sent the market into a frenzy, but didn't do too much damage because those were long-term trades. See, scalpers and people who are trading the smaller time frames, they're more susceptible to incurring damage when the market goes through that type of volatility. Like there was the decision came out, the market went crazy. Donald Trump comes right back maybe an hour or two after that and says nothing is changing. The market goes crazy again. So, larger time frame events like that, fundamentals like that, aren't going to hurt you as much because the levels, the structures, in many cases, they still hold. They don't completely change the direction or the trajectory of what's going on. But so since we did so much work over, let's say, the last 7 to 10 days, and those are long-term trades, we've pretty much covered almost the entire FX market. Haven't done too much with stocks, gold, crypto, and stuff, but we'll get back to that. But since there's really no reason for me to jump back on board and start dealing with that, I just wanted to try to just jump in and see if there were some things that's still out there that we could look at and teach on. Remember, no trade signal, no trade advice, just repetition, so that once you start, if you start applying and deploying some of these harmonic methods, we're able to help train your reticular and make you sharper so that you can identify them. You can determine where your entry will be, determine your probabilities, and then after that, the rest is up to you. That being said, beginning with EURAUD, of course, we're gonna move fast. I don't want to be here that long at all. We're gonna be working outside of this market right here. That is basically a retest. I'm gonna go pretty fast. A retest in this area here, okay, which is kind of like what you want to see in some cases like this. But of course, in true Harmonic Trading Club fashion, we are going to deal with it harmonically. I'm on the 4-hour chart again on the larger time frame, kind of protecting us from a lot of the crazy volatility. So kind of already got an idea what it is if you've been watching. This is bull bat pattern here. Okay, so X to A to B, B to C up here, and then C to D or PRZ. So this is really what I want to key in and focus on. Just let me clean it up for a second, and then we'll talk about how a trader might want to deal with this had they identified it. Just want to make sure that we got all the measurements on point. Just clean them up a little bit because when you draw on the larger time frames, any time frame, it's usually not going to be accurate. Your measurements are typically going to be off a little bit. Where's my 886 at? Right there. Okay, cool. So there's our completed bat pattern that a person wasn't really going to see unless they have a trained enough reticular. Now, of course, we're on the 1 hour, but we're going to work our way through this. On the 1 hour, of course, you see the fill and you see the turn. A little bit of static before it did, but it turns, reacts, and here's where traders have to be careful to not just take that little bit of profit and run away and get scared, okay? Because really, this trade can be treated differently on larger time frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump one back to the 4 hour, and here's where the story gets very interesting. The 4 hour is kind of really what you want. So let's talk about our rules of engagement for entry with engulfing candle. Not really a doji, but somewhat. It does have a upper and lower shadow. It's just kind of wacky. It's got a real high tail. Let me see if I can come in a little bit closer for you guys. Real high tail. It's got both in the body, but I'm still going to keep it. It's just not an A plus. So I'm just not grading it as high. And then trigger and entry. So it is a bat pattern followed by 3-bar reversal. Trigger and entry with the trigger bar closing beyond the doji. Okay, and then price action back down to the doji, which is now the new low. Okay, which is what you see there. Okay, so if I were to run through that again, that's 3-bar reversal. It's okay for a little bit of distribution after closing beyond that doji, that decision being made, at least for the interim, at least for right now, and then coming back down to find support and structure added. So now you see the reaction from the support standing on the doji. Now, a couple of ways to deal with it in terms of long-term, short-term targets, just using the bat pattern itself from the top, from the high, from the A to the PRZ, for a trader who would doesn't want to keep themselves that exposed, want to jump in and out, right? It'd be looking to target that 618. But the problem is it had already blew through the first target, which would be the 38% to 382. Here's a problem here, right? So this thing already would have gotten first target. I mean, half of this trade is gone, right? And then stops moved up there. So if price action comes below the new lows that you established, then you're out. If he goes and gets to 618, you got a winner. But then, like I said, less exposure, because at that point you're out. You take the money and you go. Or, okay, more aggressive traders, or looking at it through your investor lens and not your day trading or quick trade lens, what have you, looking higher. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways to approach it. You could start at the most recent high right here, right? So you can have the pattern or the most recent high, and you can run off that. So from that point right there, swing high to swing low, which is going to be at X. And then it's going to give you a little bit stronger, but you're going to have to keep yourself exposed up here, okay, for a trade. So now we're really talking a real trade. Now this would take a couple of days. We're on a 4-hour chart. Long short to in right here at the 3-bar reversal, and then targeting up to the 618 again of this high right here, okay? That high right there, the high to the low, and playing that move right there, which stops right below your low PRZ. So now in this case, now you're at a 2.5, okay? So this is the way that I approach the markets. I don't make a suggestion that anyone also do that, but it's really about the structure and how the market really moves. The market, with this being the last move, you're gonna come down, you're gonna retest that, and probably a 61% correction on the way back up. So that's it for this one. Like I said, I didn't want to just say no video today. I almost said no video today, but I figured, hey, what the heck, you know, there's always something we can come talk about, retrain on. Remember, what I'm doing here is just really to just help traders just become better traders, just deploying everything that we got in our arsenal, so that, you know, you look back and you started off and there was nothing in your toolbox. And I want it to be, that's why there's 50 classes in the academy. I want it to be to where you look in that toolbox now and you got so many weapons, so you can pull out the weapon of your choice when the opportunity is there. You might not always need a shotgun. You might not always need a grenade. You might not always need a 9mm, but whatever is needed at that point for you to attack, right? Because even after you've been patient and waited for the market to come to you, now you got to go on offense, okay? And then it's your time to strike. The market sets itself up right in that spot, and things get silent and set up perfect for you. Not perfect, but as good as they can get when conditions are right. Then that's when you come out and strike, okay? So I think that's going to be it. I should have asked that you guys hit the like button. What a wonderful, amazing little short video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell icon so you be notified when, of course, the most amazing technical breakdowns come out. Who's going to come do something for you like that in 10 minutes? Nobody but the Harmonic Trading Club. Head on over to the Harmonic Trading Academy playlist, where we do teach everything that I talked about in this video in great detail, plus times 1,000. So that being said, you guys have an amazing week. We'll be back with more. Kind of got to put together some more lessons for you guys. See if we can add another class to the academy. See if we can just continue these live little Ultimate Trader workshops. We're just going to keep rocking and rolling. And that's all that's all we're here to do. We're not here to lie. We're not here to scam. I'm not here to sell you nothing. We're here to come and show how this thing really works. Okay. So that being said, you guys be good. Take care of yourself in the market, and I will see you.